Yo, 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 what's going on, man? Today is February the 24th, 2023, and this is Casted with Chris, the NBA betting show slash podcast, presented to you guys as always by the Basketball Forever Podcast Network. It's early in the morning on February the 24th on a Friday. We got a lot of NBA action. Not a lot that I really like, man, after kind of looking at the card though. So we'll get into a couple plays that I am looking at. I have put money down on nothing. I'm always transparent and honest with you guys. Not gonna force a bunch of plays or even a few plays just to have plays for the show. I handicapped these games last night, not in complete detail. Kind of trying to watch some of the action last night as well. So I don't have a complete analysis around any of these games. But if you guys want to, feel free to drop your plays in the chat. Let me know what you guys are on today, and by the time the game start later on this evening, I do have an additional show that I'll be doing this evening as well, along with the Crispy Cap and NBA show. So we'll get to it, man. Definitely let you guys know what I'm looking at. But if you guys are enjoying the content, yesterday I know we did have a perfect segue to the recap. If you guys are enjoying the content, be sure to consider supporting the channel by hitting the like button and sharing the show as well. Quick recap of last night. We did go 2-0 yesterday. Cavs -4, sweatiest bet probably I ever had in my life. I'm sorry, that's not supposed to say Cavs -4. That's supposed to let me fix that. That's supposed to say Sixers -4. Crazy how they were able to get that done last night, but they did. So they ended up winning that game. I watched it from start to finish. Winning the game late, going on a crazy run in the fourth quarter, but they got the job done. And then the Thunder plus the two, they did everything they could to lose the game last night after being up. I think they only scored like 16 or 18 points in the fourth quarter, just threw their game away last night. In a game that they needed. Laurie Marketing kind of took over in the second half, specifically in the fourth quarter. I thought the Thunder would win the game, but the +2 did cash, and I talked about that yesterday. Gave that out as my other best bet of the day. So 2-0 yesterday. Always looking to build upon that. And let's talk about some of the games for today, man. So we got quite a few games for today. We already got some line movement as well. I'll tell you guys what I was looking at last night, but I didn't get to the window on any of this yet. So yesterday I talked about how moving forward I only want to kind of make the show a little small. Excuse me. I want to make the show a little smaller and condense it a little bit by only sharing my best bets for today. So I don't have any bets for today. You guys can see at the bottom now. Best bets today pending because I don't have anything official just quite yet. I am looking at a couple of these games in these spots and wanting to back a few teams. So I'll go through them real quick. The Knicks and the Wizards. Wizards are 1.5 point favorites, which to me kind of indicates that Bradley Beal will play, but we don't know that 100%. Bradley Beal is listed as questionable in this game. You also got a lot going on the Knicks side as well, with Mitchell Robinson returning to practice yesterday, and they say he looked good, so he is listed as questionable for this game. It'll be his first game played with the Knicks in I think about 3 weeks, maybe even a little bit longer than that. He had missed some time, and he does impact this game significantly with his ability to be able to rebound the ball. And with the break, not quite sure if he does come back, how many minutes Tibbs gonna give him in this game. One thing I was looking at was I was actually looking at the over in that game. These two teams typically go under when they do play, but the Knicks are 8-2 to the over as road dogs with a total of lower than 220. That's lower than 225 points. Total of 225 points or lower. The Knicks are also 6-1 to the over when they're revenging the same season loss on the road this season. So the game that Bradley Beal came back was the game that the Knicks actually lost at home. I remember I don't know if I was on the Knicks or not, but I remember thinking that the Knicks would win that game, and that's when Bradley Beal kind of came back and started that run for them. I think they went something like 5-0 straight up in against the spread. So Knicks actually scored in this spot, man. You also look at the Wizards, 8-3-1 to the over when they're playing the team they've already beaten this season. 4-1 specifically to the over when they're at home in that spot as well. So I think I think the game could go over. I would wait, to see if Bradley Beal gets in. I think the Wizards also play at a much faster pace with Bradley Beal. without Bradley Beal, I'm sorry. So they typically score more points when Bradley Beal is in. Wizards have been impressive. I don't know if people remember, but they did get a really solid win right before the All-Star break, the last night before the All-Star break in Minnesota. So this team is trying to get to the play-in, well, not even get to the play-in, but trying to move up in the standings in the Eastern Conference to potentially make some noise. They are one of those teams in the Eastern Conference that have, dealt with a lot of injuries throughout the season. I think there's a small selection of games, uh, you know, where all three of Bradley Beal, Porzingis, and Kyle Kuzma have all played in. So that's what I'm looking at in that game. I think it's pretty difficult to kind of cap a total to cap a side without all of the information. Um, Next game I wanted to talk about just a tad bit. The Cavs and the Hawks. Interesting game here because you get the Hawks, as a home favorite, which is crazy when you're thinking about them playing against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They have played this team really close, a couple times. They also have some injuries. I think John Collins is going to be out in this game. And then I think on the Cavs side, they did rest Ricky Rubio last night so that he would be available in this game. Cavs second night of a back to second leg of a back to back. It's a home road back to back as well. They did lose last night in Denver in a game that I almost took them in. I'm glad I stayed away from them. They just kind of fluctuate between being a really good team and then not a really good team. They I watched the post game interview and I watched some of the game as well. And you just hear JB Bickerstaff say that they had 60 points in the paint, and that's where their advantage was last night. Throughout three quarters, they had 60 points in the paint, and then fourth quarter comes and they only have 8. Evan Mobley had 31 points, and I think through three quarters, and I think he finished with 31 points. Didn't score in the fourth quarter, so you could credit Denver's defense in that spot, but you could also say Cleveland just they lacks that they lack. I think they lack offense at times, right? When you got Darius Garland out there, Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, that those are the three, big main guys. But you're counting on a lot of inconsistent players in my estimation when you start throwing in guys like Isaac Okoro, Dean Wade. I just don't trust their bench as much. I do think Atlanta wins this game. One of the things I looked at was road dogs, which the Cavs are in this spot now, off a previous home loss on the second leg of a back to back this season. Those teams are 1-19 straight up. That's a 95% fade of the Cleveland Cavaliers in this spot. I'll say that one more time. Road dogs off a previous home loss on the second leg of a back to back this season, 1-19 straight up, only 6-14 against the spread, losing those games by an average of 16 points. Now, of course, you can't, just take the Hawks just based off that play alone, just based off that system alone and that query alone. But I think it does, give a lot of strength to the Atlanta Hawks. Also, Atlanta just fired Coach Nate McMillan, and typically teams play extremely well after they fired their head coach. So, Atlanta, they are shorthanded. Cavs typically struggle with guards, and Atlanta has guards, right? We know that they have DeJounte Murray, they have Trae Young. So I think the Cavs do struggle in this spot. And I want to back Atlanta, man. I just haven't gotten there yet, but I do want to back Atlanta. That's one of the ways that I'm looking as well. So far I gave you guys the Knicks and the Wizards to go over. Not official, but that's the way I'm looking. And I'm looking at Atlanta to be able to cover this spread tonight with Cleveland exerting so much energy. They played, well into uh all the starters played 4 minutes. Now, granted, this is the first game after the All-Star break, so it's not like a 3rd and 4 or a 4th and 5. So you gotta, figure out how much you want to put into that equation because it's not like the Cavaliers are gonna be extremely unrested in this spot. They are coming off the All-Star break. So another one of the reasons, kind of conflicting trends, which is why I didn't pull the trigger on them yet. Another game I want to touch on really quickly, and let me pull up all my leans so you guys can see them at the bottom. A couple more that I was looking at as well. None of these are official plays. Like I said, I haven't made any official plays yet. OKC and Phoenix. Uh, I talked about OKC winning last night and then losing tonight. OKC actually, I thought they would win last night. I know that they're not winning tonight. I don't think that they're beating this Phoenix Suns team, especially on the second leg of a back-to-back after going to overtime last night. You see the spread move from, I think it was 7.5 um, last night before they went to overtime. And typically, you want to fade teams that go to overtime, especially if they play on the second leg of a back to back and they're not playing in the same exact gym that they played in the night before. So this is a nationally televised game tonight. The Phoenix Suns will be without Kevin Durant. He will not make his season debut for the Phoenix Suns tonight. OKC, they while they play really really hard, and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is a bona fide superstar in this league. Like this dude can get buckets. The one thing that they struggle with, and I watched that game last night, of course, because I had money on it. The one thing they really struggle to do, they struggle to rebound the ball, significantly struggle to rebound the ball. And this isn't like a just a one time type thing. This you can go look at the data. I don't have it pulled up right in front of me, but they the data quantifies, them struggling to rebound the ball. You even when they got stopped last night, you just see the Utah Jazz, who aren't the greatest rebounding team when you got guys like Kelly Olynyk out there. They don't have Jared Vanderbilt anymore. Kelly Olynyk and Walker Kessler and uh uh Laurie Marketing just dominating the offensive glass every single time that they missed a shot in the fourth quarter, like they just wanted it more. Um, One thing I looked at, Phoenix is the 11th best rebounding team in the league. OKC is going to get terribly out rebounded in this game tonight, um, in my estimation. With the Phoenix with OKC coming off that back to coming off the back to back and having to go to overtime last night. I looked at since 2015 teams that are road dogs of 8 points or more, because the OKC Thunder are in this spot. Teams that are road dogs of 8 points or more coming off an overtime game on the second leg of a back to back that aren't playing in the same gym. They're 0-6 straight up, 0-5-1 against the spread since 2015. So I'll say that one more time. Since 2015, teams that are road dogs of 8 points or more coming off an overtime game and they're playing on the second night of a back to back. And they are also not playing in the same gym because you got to factor in the travel. Those teams are 0-6 straight up, 0-5-1 against the spread dating back to 2015. So that's a nice query to back Phoenix here today, -8. I do feel like the line's a tad bit inflated, but I think Phoenix should win this game, probably by double digits. I think Chris Paul slows it down. I think Phoenix struggles to um, I think OKC struggles to rebound the ball, which Phoenix does a pretty good job at. They also gonna have their handful, trying to guard Devin Booker, even though Lou Dort will be out there tonight. Chris Paul and I think Aiden probably has the biggest game out of any of the superstars for the Phoenix Suns, just because he's the guy that typically is going to dominate in the paint. They still struggle with with rim protection, even though they have a guy like Kendricks out there, who's a pretty good defender. I think they struggled tonight against Aiden and the boys. I'll be looking at Aiden props as well, but I didn't cap them yet. That they will be on my short list. So, what you guys see on the screen, I kind of went through a few of those leans. The Warriors' first half is specific to the Houston Rockets. First of all, I think just no query attached at all. I think if the Rockets are 10-point favorites tonight. Of course, they lost last night to the Los Angeles Lakers. So this is the second night of a road home back to back. They're 10-point favorites tonight after being 6.5-point dogs last night. Coach Kerr, for anybody who stayed up last night to watch the game, Coach Kerr did wave the white flag early in the fourth quarter. So the Warriors starters didn't play heavy minutes at all. Today, they're back at home. They need a win. The Warriors are not in great playoff seeding right now for people who didn't know. Not quite sure where they are seated, but they're not in they're not in really good seeding right now. So the Warriors will win this game tonight. I think that they'll absolutely smack up the Houston Rockets. So one thing, the reason why I'm looking at the first half spread specifically is because I feel like if the Warriors are gonna win this game, it's gonna be because they probably come out and smash the Rockets early. The Rockets will be without Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. The Rockets are also just not trying to win games, man. A little bit more on that in a second, but it's been 2 games this season so far where the Rockets have been without Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green. The Rockets are allowing their opponents to shoot a combined 49% from the field in both of those games and 40% from three as well. We know that the Golden State Warriors run at an extremely fast pace. and they shoot the three-point ball well, and they typically shoot well from the field with or without Steph, especially when they're playing, lesser competition. Rockets on the second leg. I mean, Warriors on the second leg of a road home back to back. Like I said, but the starters didn't play heavy minutes. Also, there was an interview last week with Tillman Fertitta, I think is how you pronounce his name, and I could be butchering that. He's the Rockets owner. He was interviewed at Mardi Gras last week, and at the end of the interview, I thought this was interesting. He said, "Pray for Victor." To me, that just solidifies that this team they're not trying to win. They don't want to get close to winning another game. I think currently they do have the worst record in the NBA with like 15 wins between them and San Antonio. Um, all the reason more, to fade this team. I don't think that they'll be putting a competitive roster out there for most of the second half. I think you see, some of these guys kind of just shut it down and don't play. Even if they do play, I don't think that they'll be competitive. I think the Warriors, you typically don't see a lot of teams on the second leg of a back-to-back be favored by 10 points when they have to travel as well. So I think that's indicative. If the Warriors won on the second leg of a back-to-back, the spread might be 13 and a half. And that's with Steph Curry not being a part of it. So I would only be able to look towards the Warriors. I think you do take the first half spread, which should be something to like 4.5, 5.5 if the full game spread is 10. So I do like that. The line for that hasn't come out yet. And then I also have let's see, I have Poole over 5.5 assists. And that's indicative of you just look at the Rockets. One thing I did do, because I was looking at Poole's points at first. The Rockets on the season allowed the most assists to point guards, 9.5. Last 7 games, they're ninth, and they're also still giving up 9 assists as well. Just other teams have been playing a little bit worse against the point guard position as far as allowing assists. You look at Poole games. What I did was I looked at Jordan Poole games at home, without Steph, and he's over 5.5 assists right now is plus money on most sports books. He's over 5.5 assists in 4 of his last 5 games and 5 of his last 7 games. So 4 or 5 is what, 80%? And then 5 or 7 is probably like 83%, something like that. So I do like Jordan Poole to go over his assist prop today. We know that without Steph Curry, he typically has the ball in his hands a lot. And I think he does a lot of distributing. I think the Golden State Warriors hit a lot of shots tonight against the Rockets team that's, you know, just really probably not happy or motivated to play basketball. And besides that fact, the Warriors just really need a win. So I think they make a lot of shots tonight. So those are the leans that I have for you guys and just the explanation that I have for each one of them. I said these podcasts are gonna be shorter. So I'm gonna jump off here, but I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Announcement real quick that I want to make. I talked about it yesterday, but just in case people didn't maybe people didn't get a chance to tap in yesterday or touch base. These shows will be shorter. I'm at 18 minutes right now, but I'm actually about to end this one. The Crispy Captain Evening Show is going to be 5:30 to about 6:15, 6:30 at the latest. Just pushed it back about 15 minutes. Even though today, it'll actually, I'm gonna tweet this out later, but it'll actually be earlier today, just for today, 5:15. Going back to the 5:15 time because I do have another show that I'm doing at 6 o'clock. That's not my show this evening. And then, as always, man, check out the podcast Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's uploaded to all podcast streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of them. So check the podcast out as well. And as always, man, like I said, if you're enjoying the content, consider hitting the like button, supporting, sharing the show as well. I appreciate everyone for tuning in with me this morning. Like I said, don't have anything official, but also not really wanting to give out anything that I don't have my money on already. So that's what I'm on today, man. Best of luck to you guys. 5:15, tap back in with me. 5:15 Eastern time. Tap back in with me for the Crispy Cap and NBA show, man. Only for today though. 5:30. Moving forward. Back on Monday. So that's what I got. Best of luck to you guys today. I'm out.